Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Spiritual Keys to Health and Wealth show. It is Wednesday afternoon. It is May 19th, and it is good to see you. And Heidi, it is good to see you as well. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you. Yes. Oh my gosh, here in Toronto, I have to tell you, the weather is spectacular right now.
Yes. Yeah, it's like 27, 28 degrees all of a sudden.
hmm
I remember less than a month ago, we were shoveling.
I know. It's kind of crazy.
So we'll take this. It's been a long time coming.
I completely agree with you.
I think with everything else that's going on, some good weather is something that we will all embrace and give thanks for.
I agree.
So, how have you been doing?
Really well, actually, really well. Yeah, just keeping very busy and just kind of enjoying the weather. Um, yeah, like we're not able to, see a lot of people. So it's like, just coming up and getting more creative as to how to actually, fulfill my days.
Mm-hmm.
And you?
Well, it's been a harrowing couple of weeks. I came down with a flu bug a couple of weeks ago, and then the sucker decided to crawl into my lungs, and that was a whole lot of fun last week. I'll tell you something, not being able to breathe,
Mhm,
that really puts a whole different perspective on everything.
mhm.
And we finally got it diagnosed and being treated now, and thankful for that. But oh man, I do not remember being that sick for as long as I was. I mean, it was 2 solid weeks. And when you're not even able to take a breath, like I probably had, maybe 20, somewhere between 20 and 30% of lung capacity. And, be waking up in the middle of the night and have to even pop a couple of Advil just to reduce the inflammation so I could get a breath in there.
Mhm.
It's so I really sympathize with people and empathize with people who have like chronic breathing issues like asthma and CPOD and stuff like that. It's wow. But it's good to be on the road to recovery, let me tell you.
Well, glad to hear that. I'm glad you are on the road to recovery because there is nothing worse when you're kind of taken down by some sort of bug. I think that's kind of where our world's been at now for
Yeah.
quite a while, right? So our health really is extremely important, and taking care of ourselves is our number one priority. We have one body.
Yep. And I think it's an anonymous quote, but someone said one time, um, if you're not going to take care of your body, where are you going to live?
hmm Exactly. No,
You don't get unlike what the the AI people want to tell you and the transhumanist people want to tell you and everything else. Once you're done with this, that's it.
mhm,
Because to be honest with you, I have no interest in like getting my consciousness uploaded to like a trash can or something like that. Thank you very much.
mhm,
I'll just stick with this.
mhm,
But yeah, now I got to start trying to gain back the weight that I lost.
Oh my gosh, yes, I guess so.
I know it's a problem that a lot of people have not been having with being locked down and everything else, but yeah, I dropped a fair bit of weight because I couldn't eat anything. But
Yeah.
it's I think it's a really good illustration um, for what it is that we're doing and the importance of making sure that your health is taken care of. I mean, listen, there are things that are going to happen. They're, I think, unavoidable. I'm not sure where I ended up getting this thing from because I know I went to Toronto a few days before I got sick to do some errands and pick up some stuff. But um, to make sure that your body is in good shape and you're getting the proper nutrition, I think is one of the most important things that we could be focusing on, because when the crisis does hit, what you have done with your body up until then, I think will play a large part in your recovery, and also even the quality of life while you're sick. And so, what we're doing with the moringa and making sure that our body is getting the proper nutrients every day, it was really highlighted to me just how important this really is for everybody this past couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. Well, it comes down to our resilience levels.
Yeah.
Well, it's not about all of a sudden, and in a lot of cases, what happens with people is as soon as they go into some sort of crisis is when all of a sudden they start to take care of their health. It's, when they've been diagnosed with something, when, like some sort of accident has happened, or, they're going through some stress or anxiety, that all of a sudden it's like when we're pushed to the mat is when we start to really think about our health. I mean, how many times have you heard of people that are very, very overweight, and it's not until they've had a heart attack, it's not until their doctor has said you have diabetes type 2 that they decide that it's time to actually start taking care of their body. And that's just not the way we should be operating. We should be operating with the mindset and the priority in our life to always be charging our resilience, to be making sure that that's okay. It's like I tell people all the time, if I need to make a 30-minute phone call, if I have to make a 30-minute phone call on my phone and I only have 10 minutes left of battery, I can't make a 30-minute phone call. But how many people are living their lives on a 10-minute battery when they need to do a day that is 30 minutes, right? And that's exactly what's happening. And it comes down to, I think, especially with everything that this world has gone through just recently, it's become very, very clear to all of us that we have to take care of our health. Now, it's like if you want to think about the person that's had the heart attack, the person that's just been diagnosed with diabetes type 2, I'm sorry, what happened in the world right now is that crisis, is that moment. This is the heart attack. This is the diabetes type 2. This is your wake-up call. This is a full-on wake-up call to really start making yourself a priority. And I can't get over the amount of people say, well, it's just so costly to eat healthy. It's so costly to say purchase a product. You and I both take moringa. We put moringa into our bodies every single day at a level that you just can't get anywhere else. Yes, there are people that you can go on Amazon and you can get moringa seeds and you can get moringa leaves, but you're not getting the full 92 nutrients that we're getting. And the thing is I always say to people, really? It's too expensive? You aren't worth that in your life? So at the end of the day, you're saying that it's worth it to, gosh, how many other frivolous things do we buy on a regular basis? How many times are people stopping at Tim Hortons and getting a coffee every single day? How many people are going and getting fast food on a regular basis instead of properly investing their money in their own health? The crisis has happened, and it's time now. It's really time.
Well, it's always been time. I mean, listen, I probably started waking up to what was going into our bodies in my 20s. And I remember I was pastoring in California back in 2005. And as I was starting to, one night I woke up, I couldn't sleep, and I turned on the TV. It was about 3:00 in the morning, and there was an infomercial on. And I'm not really prone to watching those things because, usually it's about putting the spray on the bald spot or something like that. But this one happened to be a guy by the name of Kevin Trudeau. And he wrote a book called Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. And as he's talking, I remember him discussing all these different topics about health and the fact that the industries that control food, medicine, and stuff like that were not doing things in our best interest. I kind of already understood that, but when I really began to look into it a little further and listen to what he was saying, it was like, I got to get a hold of that book. So I remember as I was making my way home from, I drove home from LA to Toronto, and as I was driving through Arizona, I remember first thing I did when I stopped off is I made sure I hit a bookstore, and I grabbed this guy's book. And when I got to the section about meat and what the meat industry does and how it treats its animals and what it does, I was mortified. Like I could totally understand why some people become vegetarians after that. I mean, when you know what goes on in conventional meat farm factories, and the way that they treat the poor animals, and of course the way they treat the animals is what we end up eating with, the stresses and the sickness and giving them the antibiotics and everything else. And I said, I can never eat conventional meat again. And so I remember that I had resolved, getting back to Toronto, that I was going to look into getting organic meat, but I wanted to make sure that it was killed biblically, because the Bible is very clear that blood is no good for you, and that when you kill the animal, the blood has to be drained out, because that's where all the sickness ends up happening. So I searched around for all these organic butchers. I started getting on the phone, calling them to find out, okay, can you provide organic animals that are killed biblically? I don't need, the kosher certification, because that just became, that's a whole money-making thing, and it has nothing to do with health. And I couldn't find anybody. And finally, I talked to one of the butchers, and they said, well, you need to talk to our supplier. And so I called them up and I said, can you provide a biblically killed animal? And they said, yeah, but you're going to have to buy a whole animal. Well, that's quite an investment for at the time. I was a single guy. And so anyway, I rounded up a bunch of people. We went in on it, and we got a whole animal together, and probably, 500-600 pounds of meat or something like that. And it was so good. I said, you know what? There's a business involved in this. And I ended up starting my organic meat business after that. And for the next 10 years, I ran an organic meat distributorship where we specialized in having biblically slaughtered meat, because it was so important to me to make sure that I was getting something natural, that I wasn't just, filling my body with garbage. And after being away from it for a lot of years, let me tell you something. When I eat now, my body really notices the difference. It's huge. What we put into our bodies is so important. And if we're not looking after ourselves, and it's like you say, you don't wait until you have the heart attack before you start making adjustments. I mean, that's not any different from studying for a test the night before you've got the test. You may want to start doing the homework and the studying like in advance, so that by the time the test comes, they, that you're ready to go. And man, the more you understand about the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry and everything else, making sure that we take care of our bodies and we put what's necessary into it is probably the most important thing that we can be doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. I know for myself, and there's probably many people that are watching this that, they're under a lot of stress. They have crazy schedules. People are not only, working from home now, but they're homeschooling. And so they're being pulled in about 100 different directions. And what ends up happening is, I know for myself, there was a time in my life when, I was pulled in about 100 million different directions. And when I was doing that, it's like you just let go of, when you need it the most, when you need that resilience, when you need your immune system boosted, is generally when you don't think about it. And yet that's the key element when you should. And I know for myself, my gosh, I think back, I was eating healthy, I was drinking too much, I wasn't sleeping well, I just wasn't doing anything with my health. And even just working out, I used to run on a regular basis, I'd stopped it all. And if I had known about Moringa, if I had known about this product at that time when I was at my lowest point, what a difference that would have made in my life. But it wasn't until I pushed my body to the brink when I finally just completely broke. And that's what happens. There are so many people that are like, I just feel broken. They're so run down. They're hitting rock bottom. This is just where you are. And so I know for myself, it was hitting that rock bottom. It was like, I was over 30 pounds heavier than I am now. I didn't look like I did. I look back at pictures, Darryl, from 3 years ago, and I honestly look 10 years older than I do now. And that's right. Crazy. And it's only because now I've made that conscious effort to actually invest in my health. So anytime I can get on my soapbox, and I always say to people, I walk around with a portable soapbox, because the moment somebody is like, oh, I'm feeling run down, I don't know what to do, it's like I just pull out that, portable soapbox, get on it. And I'm like, what you need to do is you actually have to start putting yourself first. You've got to start investing in your health. You've got to start investing in you. If you want to start feeling better, then you've got to actually do something and put something in your body that's going to make you feel that way. You have to start doing things. And so many people say, well, it's just, it's so hard. It's so hard to get in shape. It's so hard to do all these things. Not really. It's not hard to go for a walk. We are not trees. We are not rooted where we are. We all have the ability to walk, right? We can just go for a walk. I'm not saying you have to run. I'm not saying you have to work out. I'm not saying you have to go to all these lengths. I'm also saying that you don't have to completely change your entire diet, that all of a sudden you need to buy everything organic and you only have to, honest to God, when I see those people on Instagram or Facebook that show those pictures on a Sunday of all the meal prep that they are doing and everything, they've taken 2-3 hours and they've meal prepped and they put it all in containers. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. If anything is complicated in my life, I will give it up in a second. In a second. I'm like, I'll do it once and I'll be like, my God, that took 3 hours. I'm never getting that 3 hours back. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. But what I can do is I can open a little sachet. I can put a powder, which is moringa, into 8 ounces of water, shake it up. None of this is hard. None of this is hard. This is not complicated. This isn't rocket science what I'm doing. And I can put it in my body. And then I know starting my day, I've just gifted myself. And this is what I feel like it is. It's a gift. I've just given myself a gift of 92 nutrients. I know my energy is going to be better. I know my mental clarity and focus is going to be better. I know I'm going to sleep better. I know that it has an element that balances my sugar, meaning my sugar's not spiking up and down anymore. I'm not getting hangry and want to kill my husband because my sugar has dropped. You know what I mean? I put this gift into my body that makes me feel great. Some people even say that, I'm not going to lie. I have actually lost weight with it. I lost weight with taking nutrition, not fancy diets, not fancy workouts, by putting proper nutrition into my body. That changed my life. It's just that simple. And that's why my portable soapbox comes out every single time, because I'm like, it is just this easy. It's just this easy. Yeah, but then I got to order stuff and then I got to remember. I'm like, you're joking me, right? Because what you're doing right now is actually not a benefit to your life. So why on earth wouldn't you just try?
Wait a minute. What else are people doing now?
Right?
What else are people doing? I mean, okay, let's say before March of 2020, you gave the excuse that I don't have time. I'd still probably want to slap you upside the head, because not investing in your health is one of the worst decisions that you could possibly make. And for you not to be able to take a sachet, cut it open, pour it in, chug it down, I mean, that takes what? 3 minutes? But now that people are not allowed to go out and they're not allowed, what else are people doing?
Mm-hmm.
What is more important? Now, Bible says that bodily exercise is profitable for a little, but spiritual discipline is much more important. And I've actually, come across commentaries and stuff like that say, well, you see, the Bible says that you don't really have to worry about your health. Oh, no. Hang on a second. You're misinterpreting that. It says, in comparison, if all you're doing is focusing on your physical, then yes, you're doing yourself a disservice. However, the Bible also says that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And if God himself lives within inside of you, I'm pretty certain that he's going to want you to take care of yourself, because he's got plans to be there for a while. I don't think the Holy Spirit is, wanting to be evicted because you turned over and dropped dead because you weren't looking after yourself. And I am appalled at the shape that I see some Christians being in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, don't you understand that God gave you this one body and he wants you to take care of it? And you have to take care of mind, body, and spirit. It's a package deal. And what we're talking about here is an opportunity. This is the easiest thing, because I remember years ago, someone had introduced me to isogenics. And this was before they reformulated everything and whatnot. And man, like you had to get these bottles, and you had to measure 2/5 out on this one and 3/5. And you needed a chemistry degree in order to figure this stuff out. It's like, okay, you know what? I don't want to have to sit there with the beaker and, the electron microscope and everything else to make sure that I got the right formulation and stuff like that. It doesn't get any easier than what we're talking about. And this is like, you know what? I have a friend of mine, and he does a lot of running and stuff like that. And it's like, take this before you go for a run and watch what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's truly amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I don't understand is the fact that people still aren't really thinking that, and especially now that people have been locked down and stuff like that, their routines have now been thrown off. And how many people have you heard that have actually gained weight, since all of this started? Because they're now limited from going. The gyms have not been able to open.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to course correct. But I'm telling you, what we have in the palm of our hands is something so phenomenal, that to just get the comfort of knowing that at the beginning of every day, that my body is getting its nutritional needs, and that I can go about and make sure that you still have to eat right. This isn't a substitute for that. I mean, too many people just want the pill. They want to be able to take something, and then they want to be able to go and sit there and eat the unhealthy chips and, the desserts and stuff like that. You still need to work on the other aspects of things, but this takes care of such a huge component of it. And it's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really all that expensive either. I mean, when you compare what people will pay for vitamins and things like that, this is a very reasonable. And the other thing is that you really don't need to take a whole lot else, do you?
No, No, you don't. I can't get over before I found the super mix, before I found super mix moringa, before I found that, I had a cupboard filled with different vitamins, minerals, supplements. I had a cupboard. Like it was ridiculous. It's like a health food store, because it's like, oh, I've got to take my calcium, I've got to take the magnesium, I've got to take, the omega-3s, I've got to take vitamin C, I've got to take vitamin D, I've got like, it's ridiculous, all of the stuff that I was taking on a regular basis. And if I was to sit and add up everything that I was purchasing, not to mention we've got to be very aware here. We don't even know half the stuff that is in those vitamins. We don't, because they're not the full compounds. They're not. You go and buy vitamin B6 and you're supposed to get 6 compounds. I'm going to highly doubt if you tested that vitamin that you were getting all 6 compounds in there. You're not, because there's no regulations on the vitamins that we're purchasing at the Shoppers Drug Mart. It doesn't exist. Where all of that, and I can't tell you, like, I'm like pills this big, and I would take some in the morning, I'm taking some at night, I'm just like constantly taking all of this stuff, right? Because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get healthy, this is what I gotta do. And then all of a sudden someone said, hey, you know what, aren't you one of those people that just hates anything that's really complicated? And I'm like, I am. You know what you should do? You should get rid of all that stuff and just take this, because all that stuff in your cupboard doesn't even add up to half of the nutrition that you're putting in with moringa. Moringa has 7 times the vitamin C of an orange. 7 times. 7 times. That alone you're not putting in your body when you're taking vitamin C, right? It's like, it's absolutely crazy. And if you were also you're like, well, I eat very healthy. That's my favorite. That is my favorite thing that people say to me all the time. Well, I eat so healthy. And I'm like, amazing. Are you making sure that you're eating 3 full grocery bags of organic fruits and vegetables every single day? Are you doing that? Well, God, no. Who's doing that? Exactly. Nobody is. This one little sachet is that. That's what you're putting in your body. Now you don't have to worry if you got, all the right fruits and vegetables you were supposed to get in your body. Granted, again, this is not to replace anything. You still should be eating healthy. But my God, if you can start your day off with this, where you're already freaking winning, you're winning before your day has even started. I don't know. This, like I keep saying, this is not rocket science to me. When anybody argues or says, and they come up with all their excuses, I'm like, listen, have at it. You can do and be exactly who you want to be. But you were the one that came to me complaining of how you were feeling. You were the one that came to me and said, I've got to start doing something different. I've got to start taking care of myself. But I don't even know where to start. This is the start button. That's it. It's just the start button. It's just that simple.
And, the beautiful thing about this is that it gets shipped right to your door. You don't even have to think about it. And I loved getting that email saying that, oh, it's on its way. That is one less thing that I need to focus on, because, I've got all these different things that I need to take care of. And when you get slammed like I did last week, your whole week, your whole life gets like completely turned upside down.
I agree. Katrina's asking, what the heck you guys talking about? What'd you start with? Katrina, thank you so much for joining us. I got to tell you, sorry for interrupting you, Darryl. Katrina, I'm talking about an incredible miracle freaking plant called moringa. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I had never heard of it before. So if you haven't, don't feel bad. It's grown in Africa. It's grown in India. This one plant, when you use the entire plant, has 92 nutrients in it. And what I'm talking about is a company that has developed, using all 92 nutrients, a tiny little sachet called Super Mix. Oh my gosh, Katrina's heard of it, Darryl. You're not the only one that knew about it before I told you. Katrina is a brilliant human being. Katrina, what I'm talking about is there's a lot of places out there that offer moringa. You'll see it on Amazon. You can get the seeds or you can get the leaves, but that's not what I'm talking about. That is a minuscule amount of the nutrition that I'm talking about. When you use the entire plant, and that's the seeds, that's the roots, that's the leaves, that's the flower, you use the entire thing, which Supermix has in it, you now have the full dose of 92 nutrients. So that is your 46 antioxidants. Hello, that's freaking awesome. 36 anti-inflammatories. I don't know about you, Katrina, but 36 anti-inflammatories you can't find anywhere. I put that into my body and everything changed. Sweetheart, I turned 50 this year. And it's like all of those aches and pains and all that stuff started. I got to tell you, I don't feel like that anymore. I feel younger. It also has all the amino acids and all the vitamins and minerals that you could ask for. It literally has 7 times the vitamin C of an orange. Darryl is definitely going to hook you up. So what I'm going to suggest, Darryl, is take your probably Katrina. If you want to reach out to Darryl, he can hook you up with that and get you started on that right away. If you want a private message, Katrina, Darryl, we're going to get you set up, sweetheart. I don't know what you're suffering with or what you're going through, but this helps people with high blood pressure. This helps people with, this is from what I know. Only the people that I know, this is the difference. It's helped them with their high blood pressure. It's actually helped them with, leveling their blood sugars. So people with diabetes, people with arthritis, fibromyalgia, oh my gosh. The people that I know with fibromyalgia, one of the biggest things, not only do they suffer with the pain, so their inflammation will go down, but it's the mental clarity and focus. They have what's called like a fogginess in the brain. This actually helps with all of that. So it's really, really, absolutely incredible. Incredible.
So Bob wants us to give his testimony.
Amazing.
And Bob was, I got on the phone with him for the first time. I'd never spoken to Bob before. He's one of the supporters of my ministry and whatnot. And I get on the phone with him. We're talking for the first time. And I said, I have this stuff that I want to share with you. Now, Bob is a truck driver, so he's driving this 40-foot rig all across the United States and stuff like that. And I said to him that here's a product that I'm using now, and it's called Moringa oleifera. And he said he just about drove the truck off the highway because he had actually in the truck with him, in the cab at the time, he was taking the seeds. And I said, well, I got something way better than that for you. And so we ended up hooking Bob up. Now, one of the reasons Bob is a truck driver is because Bob was a master carpenter for like 30 years or something like that.
Wow.
And one of the reasons he had to stop is because, you're on your knees and inflammation, arthritis, things like that. I get him hooked on the Supermix. And get him to start trying this stuff. And he said literally his pinky finger, which had, was swollen and everything else. One of the reasons why he couldn't swing a hammer anymore is because of the swelling. He said the swelling went down so much now he had already been taking the pods. Mm-hmm. Okay. He had been taking the seeds, but he hadn't been taking the full formulation that we have through the Supermix. And he says the amount of swelling that went down, he had more mobility, he had less pain. He says this thing is miraculous. And what is it, moringa called in Africa? It's called the tree of life. Yeah. It's a miracle tree.
Miracle tree of life.
Miracle tree of life. Yeah. So Katrina, shoot me an email. And we can certainly talk about this.
Darryl, can you put your email in the chat so she has it?
Yeah, I actually already did that, and we'll put it on screen here. Yeah. Let's make sure I spelt it right. I think I did.
Oh, Katrina, you're gonna love this. The energy you're gonna get out of it is really gonna boost exactly how you feel. That's really fantastic. I'm so glad you could join us today. Yeah, it's something that has been life changing. And if you're wondering why Darryl and I are so passionate about it, is because it has been really life changing for us, just like it has been for Bob. It's all about, if you ask me, it's about quality of life right now, and Bob's testimonial is that it's quality of life. And that's all we want in life. We all want to live longer lives. We all want to live healthier lives. We want to feel younger. And yeah, like, if there's such an easy solution to it, and then not having to do anything that's like super complicated, yeah, that's all for me. That's kind of who I am. I really am. I have a girlfriend that would always say to me, honestly, all you got to do is keep it simple, stupid. That's what she would say to me on a regular basis. And every time I'm like going through things and it's starting to get all complicated, I think of her, and I think of her saying that, just keep it simple, stupid. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. Of course she was joking. She wasn't calling me stupid, but it was just like, this is obvious. We just want to keep things really, really simple.
Well, and what I love about this is that, and one of the discussions that you and I had when we first started having our conversations is the fact that I didn't want to get involved in a business where it was going to consume all of my time, and that I had to constantly be selling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've been through way too many of those before, and I wasn't interested in doing any more of them because most of those end up being just a huge disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Promises are made, pie in the sky, and then when the reality comes, there's very little substance behind it. What I loved about this is my two passions in life, other than preaching the gospel, is health and finances.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I can make sure that people's health is taken care of in at least a small way. Like, obviously, we're not going to be able to resolve all issues. I have connections with people who can really help with the chronic and the acute problems and stuff like that. That's a different story. But I'm just talking about basic maintenance, and the fact that for the vast majority of people, they are undernourished.
Mm-hmm.
And it causes all kinds of problems. How many people are suffering from lack of energy? They're suffering from skin conditions, or they're suffering from, you name it. And the primary reason is, and it's like you said, you know what? Unless you're eating like 3 bags of groceries of organic stuff, the soil that we grow our stuff in, regardless of whether it's organic or not, is so depleted of nutrients because they don't rotate the crops. They don't give it the Shabbat rest that the Bible demands. And all these different things. So the fact that we've got this stuff that's grown in other parts of the world where they don't abuse it like we do the soil here in North America, and the fact that we can at least get our bodies a fighting chance. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm on a mission to make sure that as many believers are healthy as possible. But the other thing is that if I can go and share this with someone and I can benefit financially from it, then why shouldn't I be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor, as it were? Like, I've got this huge ministry over in Kenya that I talk about all the time. This past Saturday, the pastor over there he broke 100 people in watching my message every week. And they've got an orphanage that we support, and we just help them build a poultry farm. That costs money. And if there is a way that we can raise funds for the kingdom, listen, you can do with the money whatever you want. But the fact that we can raise money for the kingdom by helping people get healthy, to me, is a win-win for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love what we do so much. I'm not trying to sell people $12 boxes of toothpaste and stuff like that. I'm not trying to get people to start taking this and that and the other thing that they would have never even considered. All we're saying is just give your body a fighting chance at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
And you know what? The more people we recommend this to, the more money that we can raise for the kingdom of God and to help more people. And that's why we do what we do. I mean, why are we sitting here on a Wednesday afternoon at 5 o'clock and talking about all this with you? Because we want to give as many people a fighting chance to be successful in life in all things. And that's why I decided that we're going to call this program Spiritual Keys to Health and Wealth. I mean, we're going to get into, some financial principles and stuff like that. And we're going to talk about some biblical verses that talk about how God wants us to be healthy. Yes, God does want us to be healthy. You don't just, sow into a ministry and expect the healing to come through the screen or something like that. I'm not talking about that type of thing. That's called the spiritual Ponzi scheme. That's not what we're discussing. Okay. We're not trying to manipulate people. What we're trying to say is that if you do your part and take care of yourself, you can trust God that he's going to handle the rest. Yeah. That's not a ironclad guarantee, because we live in a sin-fallen world. And regardless of all the work that we do, sometimes you just get hit like I did a couple of weeks ago. Nothing I could have done about it. And, the death rate still tends to hover right around 100%. Okay. So eventually we're all going to go one day. But while we're here, let's make sure the quality of our life is as good as we can possibly make it on our end. Let's make sure that we take care of our end of things first. And if we have the ability to make it so easy, which you snip, pour, drink, and you've got 92 nutrients going into your body every day, you are setting yourself up for such a fighting chance that I can't believe that it's this easy, honestly.
No, I agree. The way I look at it, Darryl, and by the way, thank you so much for sharing that. That was insanely powerful, what you just shared. And the way I look at things is I truly do believe that we all have a mission and a purpose on this planet to share our richest currency. And our richest currency is kindness. It is kindness. It's when we are able to share kindness, if that's recommending something to someone that's going to make a difference, being there when someone needs to listen, they need an ear or a shoulder to cry on, or, just giving, like, whatever it is that we can do in our lives. I truly believe we've all been destined to do that. Yes. When we actually, it's how easy is it to just spread that little bit of kindness. You know what it feels like when you're walking down the street and someone just smiles at you or says hello and you keep on going. Or that person in the line at Starbucks turns around and says, oh my gosh, you look really lovely today. I love that coat. And you're like, thank you. You know what happens? You then feel so good, you're spreading it to someone else. And that's kindness. Right. And that's truly our richest currency. I believe that's what this is. I believe sharing this about Moringa, the super mix, sharing this, I take it every day. I feel phenomenal. I have energy. I have mental clarity and focus. I'm feeling pretty darn good about the way I feel. What's going to happen is, because I feel pretty darn good about the way I feel, I'm going to spread that to someone else. And I'm going to, reach out to them or help them or let them know how I feel about them, whatever it is, because I feel good. So now imagine if I say to that person, hey, listen, they're like, my God, you're always so happy. My goodness, you always look great. Like, what's going on in your life? And I say, you know what? I'm doing something that's really simple. I'm taking this one little sachet every single morning called Moringa, and I take it with 8 ounces of water, put it into my body. I'm feeling phenomenal. And they're like, really? Where do I get that? Just like Katrina asked us. That's simple. I can actually show you exactly how to get it. I can show you how you can have that. And just think of how now Katrina's going to feel, and how that ripple effect affects her family and her friends and anyone else that she's like, they're like, what's going on, Katrina? I've never seen you have so much energy. And she's like, oh my gosh, you'll never guess what I found. This has changed my life and I feel phenomenal. Yeah. That's the ripple effect of what it is we're doing. That's the ripple effect. And like you said, Darryl, if we also have the ability with this, and that's not for everyone, Some of us are taking this very seriously. I'm taking it very seriously. You're taking it very seriously. And with that, we're not only spreading this kindness, but we're building something. For some people, that's on the side. For some people, it's full time. We're actually building businesses out of this as well. Sharing something that means something to me. You know, everybody says to me, why do you do what you do? Why are you so passionate about this? I'm like, you're kidding, right? Have you ever met me? Like, my gosh, I'm just so full of life. And it's because I made myself a priority, and you can do the exact same thing. And it's just that simple. It's not complicated. There's not a whole bunch of rules and you've got to say this and do that. I always say to people, they're like, well, how do I share it? I'm like, how do you feel? And they're like, I feel pretty incredible. I'm like, why don't you just share that? Yeah. Why have you got to share anything else but that? That's it. That's it. Spread that kindness. Spread the kindness. That's it. It's our richest currency.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in finding out more about this incredible product that that we have got our hands on, then I've posted my email up there. Love to hear from you. We'll send some more details. And you know what? Our recommendation is try it for a month. Okay. You know, you're not locked in for the next 7 years. It's not a contract or anything like that. Just try it for a month. See how you enjoy it. See the effect. I remember one of the things that sold me is the fact that when you gave me some the first time I met you, and I could immediately feel it start to work on an infection that I was fighting at the time. Like within half an hour of me taking this, I could already feel the antioxidant and the anti-inflammatory effects. And I was like, if this works this quickly on me, and I do, you know, I was already taking greens and stuff like that. The fact that it worked that quickly to me showed me that this is something special. And we've got our hands on something special, not only from a product point of view, but also a business opportunity, because God wants us to be healthy. God does want us to be wealthy. And if we apply the spiritual principles that he's laid out in the scriptures, then we can open up doors of opportunity and blessing for not only ourselves, but for so many other people around us, that we will transform not only our lives, but the legacy of people around us.
I agree. Amazing. Amen to that. Well, thank you, Darryl, for a riveting conversation again.
Indeed. Thank you, Heidi. It's been great. Email's up there. Give me a shout, and we can talk about some details. And on that note, we're going to say goodbye to everybody this week, and we'll see you next week at the same time. Take care, everybody.
Bye for now.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.